It's Sunday night, 9 o'clock. Welcome to All Lacrosse Live once again for another great week. We've got a great show for you all. We have Curtis Conley on tonight's show, and he should be with us anytime now. With me, of course, as always, is my co-host, Shawn Slaght, over in Moose Jaw. How are you, Shawn?
Doing good, thanks, Gary.
And over in Connecticut, I have Muffler Mike Kostiuk. Mike, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Gary.
We've had a great week, eh? We've had a busy week. A couple more outlooks came out this week. We've analyzed San Diego. We've analyzed Vancouver. We've been on the West Coast. We're going, cross river now. We're going to be east this week, Mike.
I think Shawn is going to be doing Halifax on Tuesday, and then we'll go back west again on Thursday, and I'll do Colorado.
Awesome. So everything's getting covered as we take a look at everything, and we're going to look at some of the things as we move along. But just before we get rolling, just a reminder from the network that remember that all the shows, all the episodes are streamed live across Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and also Twitch. And you can catch all the action on eopsports.com. Remember to hit the subscribe, follow, and like buttons, and always share. As you can see, we have many shows on the go. Next week's show, just as a matter of fact, the Eagles are on at the 8:20 game on Sunday. So we're going to be on at noon Eastern next Sunday morning/afternoon. So please don't miss us. But again, we have shows aplenty for everybody. Please enjoy our affiliates, Broad Street Bully Podcast, Philly Press Box Radio, Edge of Philly Sports Live, Birds IQ, Patterson Avenue Fanatics, Talking Philly Sports with Matty B, Devereaux Sports, The Painted Lines, and Party on Broad, as well as the Steel Steps on Friday nights. If you missed a show, no worries. You can grab all the podcasts on all the major podcasting companies, which include Amazon, iTunes, Google Play, TuneIn, Stitcher, and Spotify. And you can also catch it on the EOP YouTube page. And if you're looking for our show and our library, you can go on to All Across All the Time on YouTube and catch any show that your heart desires. Remember that you can stay up to date with all sports by visiting eopsports.com with great articles from our huge staff of contributors. While you're there, please subscribe to our weekly newsletter. And just a reminder to everybody that this portion of the show is brought to you by Dolan's.
All right, guys, when you're staying local and you want to watch a great game or just hang out with some great people, make sure to go to Dolan's Bar at 24 East Sellers Avenue at Ridley Park. Right off of I-95, south of Philadelphia Airport, Dolan's Bar is the place to be. Great music, great times, memorabilia giveaways, great drinks, and even better food. You never know when a former Philly sports icon walks through the door. You got to go to Dolan's, 24 East Sellers Ave at Ridley Park. Tell PJ that EOP sent you. Go to dolansbar.com or follow them on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or even TikTok. We'll see you there for the game.
Alrighty. Well, we have our guest here. I want to introduce player for both the Coburg Kodiaks and the New York Riptide, Curtis Conley. Curtis, how you doing?
Have you on the show. How are you? Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me again.
Absolutely. Well, go ahead, Mike.
Oh, just absolutely glad to have you here.
Yeah.
Well, let's get rolling right into it. You've had for the first time probably in about a year or so, a week or two or three off. You enjoying a little bit of rest before everything goes crazy with the training camps?
Yeah, for sure. We got our schedule, so we got an idea of what training camps can kind of look like through November. They've done a good job this off season. Definitely strengthening up that back end, putting a competitive camp together. So, definitely just enjoying the time off that I do have, but obviously, that's sneaking up on you. So there's not much time for rest, even if we're not playing.
Absolutely. And when I was talking with Rich Lisk over at the draft, he was looking to put maybe somebody else around to try and help, just that one guy on the left side. Maybe Teeter can get someone else on there as well. Mike, you got a good support staff on there. That team is looking really, really good in his third or fourth incarnation. But I really think that Rich is onto something here.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you saw what he did in New England a couple of years ago when he was the GM there, right? same kind of deal. He just, is able to put a core group of guys together, and he lays out a pretty sound like game plan for you. You're never wondering what's going on. He's always up front, tells you what's up, and that's something that you can respect. Definitely builds a good foundation to be able to go here.
And one of your fans is saying hello. Now I want to jump back a little bit to the summer and the Coburg days, and another team that's young and is up and coming. And of course, they're going to make their mistakes. But I really thought that you guys were onto something. Having Brandon Francis as your coach and putting his rub on the team, because that was a really, it was a tough team more than anything. I don't think there was any easy victories for anybody over you guys. And I thought you guys fought hard continuously. Let's talk a bit about Brandon as a coach and that team in general.
Yeah, obviously, like you said, I don't think there's many easy games. And as a young team, that's kind of the way you have to play, right? You got to grit and grind out those games. Teams like Nations and Peterborough, those teams can definitely finesse their way out of games. If they're not doing so well. But for us in Coburg, I think as a young team, we're going to make mistakes and kind of just got to deal with that as they come. But at least, Brandon is the kind of guy who just put in that mentality of like, at least if you're going to make a mistake, make it 50%, right? We'll live with the mistakes that we do make, and we'll continue on after that. And obviously you saw, the playoffs didn't go as well, but we stole a game, which, is pretty impressive in itself, I think, with that team that they had over there. That's probably one of, would be a top NLL team, more or less, especially with Dougie and Warren back there, backstopping them.
I don't think you gave yourself enough credit, because I think you scared the crap out of them. Because I think all those games were tough, and a couple of them was one goal and really low scoring games, and you shut down this juggernaut that was this high powered octane express with solid defense, good goaltending, and just great basics.
Yeah, like you said it. Like the biggest part was just great goaltending, right? Stevie came in. He hadn't been able to play a lot of the season, but in those games where he stepped in, he stepped up to the plate big time. And there's no way that we would have won the one game that we did without him standing on his head like he did.
Right. Also, I think it really was a good rejuvenation for his career now heading over to Buffalo, because he had a really rough season last year, and I've known him when he was in Brampton, and he's a really confident kid and has really got a lot of talent. So to have him right the ship, I think is great, and it's going to be terrific for everybody involved, I think.
Yeah, I think for him, I can't say enough good things about Stevie and Kev. They're just two great family, two great guys, great teammates. Guys who you love playing with, love having on your team, hate playing against, kind of thing.
Right. Now, ironically, I had Brian Cole on the other show on Thursday, and of course, your connection with him, amongst other things, is Everest College.
Yep.
I want to talk a bit about that, because I want to talk about how that program helps you guys, and I know Leo obviously through there, and Brian, and let's just talk a bit about Everest College and in its own thing and how it helped you along.
Yeah, I think if I talk to a lot of people, or you talk to a lot of people who knew me before I went there, they'd probably say that I wasn't very good for sure. So getting to Clem's a great guy. He's a lot like Rich in the sense that he lays out that game plan for you. Here's what we're gonna do. Here's how we're gonna make you better. And for me, like I remember in my first couple of years, the biggest thing, he'd hand me a size of the shirt or whatever that was 2 sizes too big, and I tell him it's 2 sizes too big, and he'd say, well, I guess you're just gonna have to grow into it then. Back definitely in high school, being able to get into that routine of being able to be in the gym, playing lacrosse every single day, getting help in your school day, in the sense of like you don't need to have the stress when you go home at night worrying about school, because I have so much help there, so much aid wherever I need to. It really just makes it easy to focus on lacrosse, focus on making you better. And definitely for me, like a huge part of that for sure was in my first year getting to play with Latrell Harris. I would still say that he's probably the best lacrosse player I've ever played with on my team. And just getting to pick his brain. Sometimes getting him to yell at me when I did dumb stuff, that definitely helped out. And just being surrounded by, a great group of guys, great coaching staff who really just wants what's best for everyone, just wants you to get better. If you put in the work, then, the sky's the limit. They set you up with the foundation for success.
Right. Now, you also had a chance to play for Riley O'Connor long before you guys were teammates when you were doing junior. But your junior career, you really had a chance to really expand your wings from Peterborough to Gloucester, moving into A with the Toronto Beaches. Let's talk about your journey through there and just how you improved through the years, because you had some pretty good teams.
Yeah, I think, my first junior A experience, I was a 16-year-old kid, and, Lee Vitarelli called me on whenever it was a Thursday night and said, we're going to play you in St. Catharines tomorrow. Figure out your way to the bus, and once you get to the bus, we'll get you with the team, and then we'll figure it out from there. I'm looking across the room at that point. I'm 16, and I'm looking at Thomas Hogarth, who just came off the season with Vancouver, Brian Rice, who was a fantastic player growing up all through junior, who had a great President's Cup this year. Cam Milligan is over there, who had just, come straight back from Vermont off an all-American season. Just being able to play with those guys obviously makes a difference. Jake Fox is another guy who was there. And, I remember him. He would come, and, he's the kind of guy where you respect it. If he wants you to do better, he's going to tell you, and he's going to get in your face. And I think a lot of that is a lot of the guys who I've been able to play with, I think anyone who knows Clarkie or talk to Clarkie knows that if you mess up, you're going to hear about it. And if you don't make silly plays, you're definitely going to hear about it, or you're not going to play. Just having guys like that who, it's not personal, but they do want what's best for you. And, they're going to push you to do that. They want perfection. And, I've just been lucky where that's what I've been surrounded by.
And really, that was really the golden age of juniors, if I really look at it, because during 2017, you watched Six Nations with guys like Austin Stotts in there. Nanacoke was there. Doug Jameson was in net for them. I think they went undefeated towards winning the Minto Cup that year. You had the Brampton a juggernaut with Jeff Teat and Clark Peterson and Orleman in the next year and going along. And you guys were right along with them. In fact, if it wasn't for, I think, Teat coming back from, I think it was in the juniors or the seniors in Israel, and coming back and putting together just a Jeff Teatish kind of evening, we might be talking differently about the Minto Cup.
Yeah, coming off a World Championship silver medal, putting in a clean 11 points, and his first game back was pretty killer. He's a pretty good player, that's for sure. But yeah, honestly, just probably the best thing is being able to play against those guys. I mean, you look back, even I know you didn't mention them, but that Burlington team that we beat, they were fantastic. They had Kaz Chuck, Matt Anderson, who's going to be playing with us in New York, is a fantastic player. They're surrounded by a bunch of good guys. Devin Maya is another good guy who played a couple games here and there, but just all around the league just didn't have any gaps, right? It was just through and through, it was the best of the best.
Nope, Gary Freeze up there.
Looks like it, yeah.
Hey, for those of you who know me, this is my weekly fight with Rogers.
This is old hat.
This is his battle with the internet.
Rogers. I own second base at the Rogers Center, but that's not enough. They want more. I'll have to take a look. Maybe my bill isn't paid, but anyway, I want to go into the ALL. We spent a lot of time talking about that league and its necessity, both East and West, and for players coming up as well as for players that don't quite make the cut, to keep playing and be ready for the call. And the league itself. I know you were in there with 2017 with Whitby winning the inaugural championship. Talk to me a little bit about that and how it readied you to get up to the NLL, just with the coaching, getting more reps in.
You said it right. Coaching was the biggest part. I got to play, Chad Culp was our defensive coach. Brad MacArthur was our defensive coach. Gavin Prout was our head coach. Those are just guys, through and through who have all proven to be, successful players at the next level. So I don't think you can discount that at all, the little tips that they would give you. make all the difference really going forward. But even more so, just playing with guys, getting to play with guys like Mark Farthing. I know Farth really well, big fan of his. But getting to play with guys like that, older guys who were on our team. I think Blaze Rudin was on our team that year too. Even him, just little tips. I was, a little 18-year-old kid. And, those guys did everything that they could, from little things to big things to, sometimes in practice, just burning me underneath and then saying, here's what you have to do better. But like you said, I think the necessity of the league is in the league itself and the players who play it. It is really, lacrosse is a good community where, in the sense, you can just make each other better as long as you're putting in that work.
Right. Now, you've added your kick at field lacrosse as well. Let's talk a bit about that. And really, as a box guy, primarily, getting into field in Trent, what was that? Was that foreign, or was it something that felt very comfortable? How did you deal with doing that?
Definitely going to Trent. Different in the sense that we don't have team mandated workouts. We don't have it's not like you're on the field every single day for 2 hours a day. Some days we only get on the field twice, 3 times a week for practice, kind of thing, and then you have 4 days off, right? But in that sense, I was lucky where I was exposed to a lot of good field lacrosse at Everest. We got to play Culver Academy when they were with Ethan Walker, guys like that. Jackson Reed, fantastic players like that, right? Got to play the Haverford School. So I was lucky where I got to travel around, play a bit more American style field, but definitely when you come to CUFA, it's definitely a Canadian style of field lacrosse, that's for sure. So it's kind of being able to find that balance between the American and Canadian style just to be successful.
All right. Now, you had a chance. You had to sit through COVID, and when we come back, you actually get a crack at the NLL. You get drafted by Colorado. You don't quite get there, but Albany picks you up right away. And you're there for a bit, and then the real break comes, and you get moved to New York. Let's talk about what they told you when you went over there, and how your role has really gradually changed being there.
Yeah, I think from what I remember, it was just late Thursday night. It was actually funny because I wasn't supposed to be traveling, and I got a call from Clarkie. He explained it. And I do have the utmost respect for Clarkie, Clem, Gibby. They were straight up front, and Clarkie just said, honestly, I think this is going to be a better situation for you. I think this is going to give you the opportunity to play and grow more as a player. And, there's no hard feelings. Business is business, right? But I do respect him being able to have that conversation with me at least. And, I know he wants what's best for me in the end. But then even just going to New York, the NLL is a league where if you get in, you got to make yourself stay somehow. So I think just playing that role, playing a little bit of a grittier role, getting in the corners, just sticking up for my teammates, being there. That doesn't always mean that you have to be stupid and take penalties, but, sometimes just getting in the guy's face goes a long way, showing the guys that, no matter what happens, I'm going to be there and I'm not going to back down from anyone.
Right. What are practices like having to go up against T?
Not fun, let me tell you.
Almost makes the game seem like, oh God, it's only the game now. God, that's great.
Yeah, exactly. It only gets easier from there, right?
Oh God, is he that shall we say magician-like in practice as he is in the game?
Honestly, my favorite part of first warm-up. I usually get to the arena decently early, and I know he likes to too. But sometimes just sitting on the bench and watching him fire balls before anyone's out on the floor is probably, my favorite part, because how often do you see a guy pick a corner like that every single time, 50 times in a row with the ball? He's just a special player, but also, just such a humble person, great person to be around, fantastic teammate. And, I've been lucky where I've gotten to play with him, and not very often you get to play with players that great and that humble. And he's just been fantastic all around to be around.
Just before I throw it off to the other guys, just curious about what your thought is about the new division non-alignment, where everything is 1 through 15 and away we go.
It'll make travel interesting, that's for sure. But I think for a lot of the guys, it will be cool to play every team. I think the past 2 years there's probably been a bit of wondering, whether it's across the league with players in the league or fans across the league, about how, the divisions would stack up against each other. So, I think it'll create a lot of parity in the league. I think we'll see a lot of, close games, high intensity games. I think will be big this year. I like what they did, trying to get the rivalries back and, really highlight those. I think that's good for the league. So I think this will be overall get the best 8 teams in, right? And
Absolutely.
After that, we'll make for the best playoff possible.
It's also no team, like for years, Toronto's always had it easy. So is Buffalo, where they can drive for an hour or something and they make their next thing. Now they got to start flying like everybody else, like everybody in San Diego or Vancouver who have to fly to everything. So.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I know I went to Colorado for one weekend. I came back and I was talking to Hopi on the way home, and I just said to him, I was like, dude, I don't know how you do this every weekend. How you've done it for so long. Like, you're a specimen to be able to do that every weekend.
Yeah, because that's the thing that nobody talks about. They talk about the games. They talk about how tough it is to play. It's the travel, man. Like every weekend, you got to make sure you're out of there Thursdays or whatever to make the Friday, and then away you go. You're not back till the Sunday, and just that grind and long 4 or 5 hour flights continuously. That has to wear on you during a year.
Yeah, for sure. And honestly, Colorado's a place where they set you up for success. Great. I know their trainer there, he's fantastic. So, there is ways around it, and there is ways to take care of your body in the sense that, you see teams like that who do that properly, they're successful. They've been championship year after year.
Right. Mike?
My big question would be, obviously there's a lot of experienced guys acquired by the Riptide in the off season. What are you looking to do personally for your game as far as improvement to be able to, keep up with those guys with all their experience?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I've been told, since the first year I came in, it's hard to get into the league, but it's harder to stay in the league. So I think, like you said, overall, just improving whatever I can. I know, last game of last year in Vancouver was probably my best transition output of the year. Probably the best that I've had of my career so far. So hopefully just building on that, getting more comfortable, getting more confident. And then, like I was saying to Gary, just keep playing that sandpaper mentality, not taking crap from anyone, standing up for my guys if I got to. And after that, it'll take care of itself.
Shawn, you got a question?
Yeah, I guess that kind of rolls into what I was going to ask is kind of what do you feel your role is going to be on this team?
It'll be interesting. And I think a big part of each year and going into each year in training camp is finding that role. I don't think you're going to have, especially with the amount of movement that we had, I don't think everyone's going to have the same role. I don't think that, everyone might know the role yet. But obviously for me, just being put in that position to be able to, be out there on the floor, be relied on by the other guys. I think that's the big thing. You need to have the trust of those other guys, especially as a younger guy. And then, just building on that, hopefully, get a little bit more rolling in transition. I know we got guys like Laffy up there who can run now. So we'll get him speeding up the floor, and we'll see what happens then.
One of the things I have for you is that over the years now, they've had people mentor you. You're in that role now of mentoring because, there's a lot of movement, a lot of draft picks. Rich was really busy at the draft. Your role now as the grizzled veteran, not that old, but you are the veteran in the league now. How do you go about helping these guys get acclimated and having them be able to stay in the league?
Yeah, I honestly think it's just, kind of doing exactly what the guys did for me. Like I was lucky. I was surrounded by Brett Manny, probably one of the best captains ever through the sport. Laffy, who is a fantastic guy, a better friend, just an overall great person. And then OC, all those guys are pros. They do it properly. And for me, I like to think of myself more as like a lead by example. And that's kind of the way that they did it too. I watch them, watch their preparation, watch the way they kind of get settled, and watch the way they think through the game. And then you just ask as many questions as you can. You just got to be a sponge and soak everything that you can up.
Right. Now, you say you like to get to the arena early. Do you have any game day superstitions or preparations that you have to go through, or you just kind of wing it?
Not really, in the sense that I'm always under the impression that superstitions are a little silly, in the sense that you never know what's happening. Your bags can get lost. Your shoes are going to get cut up, like somehow. Your laces are going to get cut. So superstitions in the NLL, it's just a lot of like room for throwing yourself off and psyching yourself up. So I just like to get there early, probably about 3.5 hours early, go through a stretch, take my shoes off, walk around on the floor a little bit, shoot the ball, try to duplicate a Jeff Teat shot, try 100 times, not get it once. And beyond that, honestly, just, kind of soaking it all in. I think that's the biggest part for a lot of guys, is, just being there. It's great to be there. And obviously you want to play every game, but, just take pride in being one of the best in the sport and being able to be out there and have your feet on the turf.
Right. Do you have any special playlists that you keep going just to keep yourself psyched up, or just the game itself is enough?
Honestly, I'm not a huge music guy before the game. Sometimes, most of the time, if you see me walking around with my headphones in, I don't even have anything playing. I just don't want to talk to anyone. So
That's me. All right. So moving further along into the season, I know I'm kind of jumping a gun a little bit. What do you see for the team this year?
I think you saw the moves that were made over the season. I think it's playoffs are a minimum for us. But if we're looking up and down our roster right now, and comparing it to other championship teams, other championship years, someone's going to sit there and tell me that we're not a championship caliber team and we can't be up there at the top of the league, then tell them that they're wrong.
Yeah, they're crazy.
We have the best player in the world, and we have a stand-up goalie coming up in Dunkerley. Like, he was fantastic last year. He stole us 2 or 3 games, right? And then, Rich did a fantastic job building out that back end. We got a great veteran core. And then we got a lot of young guys who are just going to run and make the best of it. And I honestly think we've set ourselves up with a good recipe for success.
I agree with what you say about Dunkerley, because I think if Dobson didn't have the season that he had over in Georgia, I think we'd be talking about Dunkerley in that regards through most of the summer, because he righted the ship. He was the steady behind, and you all of you guys relaxed that much more, and that's when your game came along.
100%. I think you got to have a goalie that you can rely on. That's a guy who we can. We were lucky last year where we had 3-4 goalies on our roster who could all be relied on at certain points and different times, right? But I think for Dunks, I'm happy for him. He came out. He earned that spot. He took it, and then even going into the summer, he had a fantastic summer out in Vic. So I'm excited to see what he can do, and I think he can definitely take hold in that first starting spot.
And one of the things we haven't talked about is really playing for Ladouceur. I knew him when he was younger, and in his feisty days. He's mellowed with age. Has he behind the bench though?
Very mellow, extremely. Going back, I think my first game with New York was in Halifax, and I had a bit of a bonehead play and went to sail a ball, 50 feet over Dommy's head, and I got back to the bench. I'll never forget. He just looked at me and he just went, "No," and I was like, "Okay, well, there you go." That's all that needs to be said, especially coming from a guy like that. Like, he doesn't need to yell, he doesn't need to scream. All he needs to say is one word, and you get it. And I definitely won't make that mistake again. I'll tell you that for free.
I always liked his psyche though, because he became the offensive coach in Georgia simply because, hell, I know defenses and I know what they're going to do. So I'd probably be great to tell the offense what they're going to do. So that kind of mentality, you don't hear that all the time. So it's cerebral, and
And even going and then up on our offense, you have one of the smartest guys in the game, Riley O'Connor, right? So just watching those two kind of, throw stuff back and forth. Cross is up there on the offensive end now, that's a lot of brain power up there. So, it's a great bench to be a part of. Jonesy too, they've all been fantastic. The coaches, if you ever need anything, they're right there. They'll let you know right away. They never leave you hanging. I've really enjoyed my time playing for them for sure.
And one of the things that Lisk also boasted about was the crowds are increasing. So you're getting to play in front of more noisy houses now, because the first thing he did was tell us about the tripling of the season tickets and everything else. So you actually have a base there that is, rabid, that know you, that really want to see you achieve. And how's that different from when you first got in there, where it was kind of empty, and it's been growing. It's just like Georgia. They've moved it and they've actually grown.
Yeah, I think honestly, the biggest part has just been, Rich and the people who run the team being able to put us in places to really grow our team name, grow our team and grow the game. Like I know, guys, if you're not playing or you're not out, or you're not in, sorry, it's expected of you to be out helping, running camps, doing whatever we can, wearing our Riptide stuff and representing the logo, because that's what we do it for, right? You do it for the little kids who want to grow up and want to be like you. So I think that's honestly, and in addition to all the behind the scenes work that goes on, all the people who I don't get to talk to on the daily, in addition to what Rich does, putting us in those positions in public places. I think that's definitely made all the difference in bringing in bigger crowds.
Is coaching on the horizon? Do you do any of the stuff for the team with the clinics and things?
Coaching for myself, sorry?
Coaching for youth or things like that, and stuff for the team.
Yeah, I think honestly, if we could see a couple guys take over coaching jobs, hopefully, down in Long Island, it's a hotbed for lacrosse, right? So if the opportunity's there, I think that's a great position for some guys to be in. Like I know a couple guys are living down around New York now, so yeah, hopefully we can get into that. Continue to build that youth foundation, youth core for sure.
Have you done some in Ontario here?
Yeah. Luckily, so before COVID, when I was playing in Toronto, I was able to coach the Pee Wee Beaches, the one team there. So that was a great time. We had a fantastic group of kids. I think they're just about midget going into junior now, and it's kind of weird seeing them commit to schools and do all that. But I was able to coach with Luke Coppinger, so he played for the Ireland national team. He's an old Beaches alumni, and one of the smartest coaches who I've been able to pick his brain and go along with. So that was good. And then obviously Far dragging me along around to Peterborough, just making sure helping out the kids. That's a huge part of the game, and he's a big part of that too, especially in Peterborough.
Right. Well, when does training camp happen for you?
First weekend in November. We're down in New York.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you for Sunday night, taking time out and coming on with us and get us going. Hopefully we get you on during the year and you can tell us how it's going. And you'll be talking to us from first place or so.
Yeah,
that'd be awesome.
Sounds like fun.
Again, thank you so much for taking the time to be on our show.
Yeah, no problem, guys. Thanks for having me again.
All right, that was Curtis Conley of the New York Riptide. What a great guy, huh?
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
See, guys like that you root for. You really want to see him succeed. Yeah. Giving back to the game, earned his stripes all the way up, had to do everything. Nothing was just here. Here it is. He had to earn it. Earned it in junior, earned it in ALL, earned it with Coburg, earning it with the New York Riptide, and through a few stops before that. And I think he's going to be an integral part of that back to really, as they're riding the ship, to be part of that.
Yeah, and we've been talking about how a lot of these teams have maybe 40 guys coming in, and 35 of them are have realistic shot to make the team.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's definitely something where I think you're going to see with most teams. Anyone who makes the opening day roster, they earned it.
Yeah,
for sure.
Oh yeah.
But
Doesn't matter which team, doesn't matter what position, doesn't matter how much service you have in the league. If you're a drafty rookie, 15-year veteran, you're going to have to earn it. So
absolutely. There's going to be no freebies in this one, but it's also probably the most important year, like we were talking with Curtis about the ALL, probably the most important year to have them on both ends working at full potential, because there's going to be a lot of guys that need a place to play over the winter, because as injuries happen and other things happen and jobs happen and guys can't make games, the NLL teams are going to be going after these guys. And it brings up an interesting point, and I think Brian Cole brought it up the other day on the other show, is that we should be looking maybe at the ALL being kind of like the AHL of the hockey leagues. And maybe individual teams will be putting their own guys in. So you don't have to worry about losing those draft picks. And you can develop your draft picks the way they are. I think this would be the first season that it really is that important.
Yeah, because that's the point I was going to make, Gary, was that you're saying with the ALL and kind of having that really important, especially for those young guys, to get them NLL ready so that they're ready to make that next step up.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And to factor in that this is the last year, I think, with the extra year due to COVID.
That's right.
Where that's in place. So after this year, you're not going to have guys where, hey, we're drafting you, but we know you're going back to school for another year or something like that. Mm-hmm. That's going to kind of go away. So
one of our friends of the show, without interrupting, can I talk about which teams you think are the most improved? Shawn, I'm going to start you off with that one, since I think your team over there is one of them.
Yeah. I definitely have to put the Rush in that category. I'm not sure if they're the most improved, but I mean, when you're picking up Dodds, Mans, Jay, they're maybe lack of experience, but they're kind of those up and coming young guys. Whereas they kind of got trimmed the fat, so to speak, with getting rid of guys like Rubish and Matthews, who are maybe aging and are probably on the downside of their career. Even if this team just makes the playoffs this year, at least they have a core that can be together for 5, 6, 7 years and build up to that championship caliber again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. And I know we've sort of discussed it before, but there was some trepidation, I know, on Shawn's part when like Rubish and Dilks were not re-signed, but I think that's a unique situation where that group of guys with, Garland, Bobby Kidd III, Barnable, Boudreau, Isaac and Jew. I think it's just I think those guys are hungry and ready to be, the leaders ready to assume those leadership roles that are kind of, would seemingly be missing, with the departures of guys like Rubish and Dilks.
Yeah, that Dilks one was really the only one that surprised me. And then really the goaltending situation was the other part you look at with the Rush, and I think they have improved. Chiliano, he's had some issues too with consistency, but I don't think it was nearly as bad as Penny or Bouquet. And now that we'll get into the goaltending situation, now it looks like Rishka will be the backup. I mean, you've got an up-and-comer right behind him who's pretty much ready to go.
Yeah, absolutely. See, my other team that I thought, of course, and we're going to stay with the West, is Vancouver. And just the Molosky-McMahon effect. And you're looking at what? Sean Evans, Keegan Ball, Kyle Killen, Kevin Crowley, Chase Scanlon, James Ray. That's just on the one side. You look on the other side. You have Dean Farrell, Charlie Membides, Marcus Clark, Riley Lowen, Ryan Martin. The list goes on and on and on. With Aaron Bull back there, you drafted O'Toole, and he's going to get a chance to acclimate himself, because you also have Aiden Walsh still there, and he's only 1 year into the NLL. So Boldy's job there is more than just being the number one goalie, but he's got two guys that are on the cusp of being able to do really great things, both first-round picks, and will be the future of that organization. And if they work out like I think they will, that part of the equation is solved in Vancouver, as well as some of the other little tinkerings that Molosky has done already, let alone the drafting. So I think that team is the second one, and that have they gotten better? Yeah, I think that's one that we all need to put on the radar, as well as even Calgary. Yeah. With the stuff, with the moves, how can you not with Hogarth and Cook and all the other guys that are in there, let alone the guys that were already there.
Logan Shaw.
Yeah,
huge.
And I think while we're talking about viewing improvement with bringing in veterans, I'd also mention for Vancouver, I'd also mention guys like John Lintz and Dilks, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Dilks and bringing back Beers.
Well, that defense is solid now too, and is full of veterans, and it's going to help out the guys who are already there, right? And you already have all-stars on that defense. So now the glue of it is the management, and Miloski is known for that.
I was just going to say, like, you look at what Miloski did in Calgary. Sorry, Gary. You look at what Miloski did in Calgary last year, where they lost a lot of pieces, and we're like, oh boy, Calgary is going to take a step back. He made diamonds out of coal there. He knows where his strengths were, and he made it work.
Yeah, he invented that transition game there.
Yeah,
one that really wasn't happening much before that. Absolutely. We're going to get more into the NLL in a little bit there, though, guys. Just a few news pieces. First of all, Monday was Thanksgiving in Canada, but it was also Indigenous Peoples Day. And the PLL put this little thing out. The PLL is proud to celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day by honoring the heritage and origins of lacrosse. As our game has evolved from North America into an international sport, learning and passing on the Indigenous culture and traditions are of the utmost importance. Thank you to every individual, partner, and community who have supported and continue to honor the Indigenous people and the roots of the game. Absolutely. I think that is as important, if not more important.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Sorry, just got to get a sip in. Sorry. We also, of course, we can't neglect the story, and it's on the news every single day, and we have to do it the lacrosse side of it. Team Israel, who's by the way, their practice facility, their training facility is in Ashkelon, which is right in the hotspot of all this, just off the Gaza Strip. There's a couple of players who are on the Lebanon border guarding. There's one who graduated out of Yale, who is a doctor near the Gaza Strip. So it gets real in a hurry for this team. One of their players, Moore Cohen, was one who was killed at that music festival. And just through the NLL statement, we'll describe a little bit more about Moore. The National Lacrosse League mourns the tragic loss of innocent lives in Israel and across the region, while condemning abhorrent acts of terrorism. We grieve for all those who have died, pray for the safe return of those who are missing, and hope for lasting peace. We'd also like to extend our deepest condolences to the family of Moore Cohen, one of the fallen in Israel. Mr. Cohen, a part of our global lacrosse community, represented Israel on his first ever U19 national team in the 2016 World Championships. A little more about Mr. Cohen was he was one of the inaugural guys on that Team Israel when they were trying to make it work out there, and was integral at getting a team together there. So that's a huge loss. And our hearts and prayers and thoughts go out to everybody. It doesn't matter what side. It's not about sides. That's a myth. So let's leave it at that, and we'll let the political things to the political people. But as for the lacrosse thing, we're hoping that Team Israel can withstand this, and hopefully I'll see them in Prague for the Rubeski tournament in April. Hopefully by all that time, everything else has been sorted out as well. To a little bit better news, guys. The Olympic bid. The big vote is tomorrow. This is huge that they're now in the top 5. Remember that they're with baseball, softball, cricket, flag football, lacrosse, sixes, and squash. Excuse me. Those are the 5 sports submitted by the International Olympic Committee Executive Board to the upcoming IOC session as additional sports.
Now, how many are going to get in?
I'm not really sure. I think that they're on each merit of whether they think they can make a go of it. The article that came out here from IOC just describes each individual thing. For baseball, softball, cricket, and lacrosse, it would be a return to the Olympic Games, while flag football and squash would be making their Olympic debut. The choice of these 5 new sports is in line with the American sports culture and will showcase iconic American sports to the world while bringing international sports to the U.S. These sports will make the Olympic Games LA 28 unique, said IOC President Thomas Bach. Their inclusion will allow the Olympic movement to engage with new athlete and fan communities in the U.S. and globally. As far as I can tell, if they voted yes, it goes yes anyways. It's not how many. Okay, they're down to 5. Their take on lacrosse. Lacrosse was created by Indigenous peoples of North America and started to spread internationally in the 19th century, initially to Great Britain and Australia. Its potential inclusion on the LA 28 sports program in the sixth format would be its third appearance at the Olympic Games. After St. Louis 1904 and London 1908, its presence at LA 28 would provide a unique opportunity to connect with its North American heritage. With its growing youth appeal, lacrosse is experiencing tremendous development both in the U.S. and globally, with 4 continents represented in the world ranking top 10. So yeah, I think it's a really, really good chance that that this is coming across. And just to stay on that theme, the World Lacrosse organization, these guys, they announced another 4 to join with their movement, and that puts them way over their limit that they had to get. And it's all African nations, guys. Absolutely. And then welcome to all those African nations. Hopefully they can carry the torch, as well as the ones that are there, like Kenya, like Uganda, who have just done phenomenal things. And as you're seeing that the some of these guys, Ugandans especially, who are catching scholarships in the U.S. now, and really looking forward to seeing what they can do in these U.S. universities. I think that they're going to do astoundingly great.
Yep.
So
It's great to see it's growing over there.
Absolutely. This needs to be a global thing, and it has to be a global thing. And I think it's finally becoming that global thing. And once this thing catches fire the way it's supposed to, the wildfire is just going to go everywhere. And we have a front row seat to it. So we're the luckiest people around, I think. Anyways, that brings me to this other little clip that I found. And this is out of Old Ontario series video. And just with the hockey season and everything starting up. And I have a clip from 1971. It is the Toronto Maple Leafs versus the Montreal Canadiens. And I think you'll enjoy this. They're carrying goalie sticks around with them, aren't they?
Looks like it.
Tough sons of guns, though, aren't they?
And a good shot to the head of the stick. Eh?
Didn't even fall to the ground when he was hit over the head with a stick. My God. Oh, well. Well, while you're out
back then.
sporting events, just a reminder that this part of the show is brought to you by Sherry's Ticket Town.
All right, guys, it's time to talk about Sherry's Tickets. Sherry'sTickets.com is easy to use and has no hidden fees. The price you see is the price you pay. Pay less and play more with Sherry'sTickets.com. Save even more by using the exclusive promo code EOP10. That's EOP10. Do not pay hidden fees and save 10%. Why use any other ticket reseller and get those hard-to-come-by tickets to the big game? If you need a more personal touch, give them a call at 610-494-5050. That's 610-494-5050. Sherry'sTickets.com also has great theater and concert tickets that are hard to get your hands on. Remember, do not overpay and save with the best at Sherry'sTickets.com. Save 10% using the promo code EOP10. That's EOP10. You'll thank us later. Sherry'sTickets.com.
And there are lots of things to choose from there. You got the Eagles and
No, losing them again.
Lost Gary again, yep.
I'll finish this thought. You got Eagles, you got the Phillies, you got Flyers coming up. Hey, wings tickets too. Season starts in
Yeah.
early December, so go to Sherry's Tickets and get yourself to a Wings game. So,
I'm back. I'm back. Most people just take a drink of water. Me, I just shut it all down.
Just hold on.
Oh, God.
You've given up, Gary.
I can go around, as I wave to the neighborhood, I started. You got the tractors going over there, I've got to have pylons outside for when Mike makes his way down Bathurst Street here in Toronto. We've got the horse and buggy ready for you here. It's in the stable down around the corner. They wondered how I could get a stable here, but
I told you we already knocked down the old shack to get the monument up for him.
Absolutely. This tour is going to be monumental, and I'm hoping it happens before the weather changes, and before the Argos have their parade. I'm sorry.
No.
We play you next week.
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
that's
boy.
gonna be sad. So it's gonna be Argos 90 Saskatchewan.
Oh, well,
yeah.
Well, the Argos will play in their second and third stringers, so
It'll still be a sad.
We made Ottawa think they had a team. They were up in the half, and they were starting like a peacock there. And they went like this when it was 40-27 at the end of the game, after being beaten by our second stringers. But I have the wager, Shawn. That's right. That's right.
Winner lose, we take the boost. Okay.
That's right. We'll have a Fame Cup beer. We'll hoist a toast there for the boys.
Yeah.
It's blue against green. You can go check your eye on out. Well, I was taking my temperature the other day, and of course, with us this close to training camp, this is what came up.
Yep. Sounds about right. Yep.
Yeah. It's a tube, guys. It's a tube. Really, I don't have any hair. Anyway, staying on with the NLL theme, we started touching on it. I want to talk first about a little bit more about your town there, Shawn, and the secondary logo.
Yeah, they put together their secondary logo. A little bit of a different look. As they say, the kind of stuff that's stylized are. They just kind of added the bison horn to it.
Yep. Definitely goes good with Horny the Toad there.
Or Horny the bison, yeah. Remember, get your votes in for Horny.
Horny, there you are.
Yeah.
Okay, I can see it coming around a mile away.
Yeah, this is Bodie McBoatface all over again.
Where is Bulldog?
Yeah.
Hulk Rush, he's gone, and now
that's what happens when you get fans to name a mascot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Mrs. Jones' third grade class really did come up with some good names.
Yeah.
Now I guess it's going to work out. The logo, the mascot himself looks pretty cool. So
yep.
I think if it's put in with the game ops that I've watched when I'm out there, it'll be a pretty cool event.
The rebrandings look pretty good, I thought, but
yeah,
that's me. Yeah.
Yep, I think so. I think it's great, and I think it's about time. This is the chance to separate totally from the Edmonton Rush idea and theme. And away we go. And now they can carve out their own niche, even though we've already had a couple of championships in there, and the future's bright for everything. Moving on with that, Saskatchewan had a few signings this week, major ones at that.
Yep.
Robert Church is back for a year, which is big, especially the way the offense is shaping up now.
Yeah, not a huge surprise there. They had the franchise tag on him. He couldn't reject it, so.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, he's back anyway.
Yep.
Mike Messenger back for a year, and that's big.
Yeah, that's part of your veteran core and the defense.
And can take faceoffs and can throw them down if he has to, and really, really put everything into place and into shape. But as we're talking about scratching on the goalies thing, thank you, Eric Penny. It's one of the goalies. Bye-bye. So him and Bouquet, last year's goaltending crew, is gone.
So like I said, that pretty much sets you up. With now with Shiliano was your first string, Reshka your second. You drafted a guy who'll sit on the practice roster.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's gonna be interesting because you got the other ones putting one up on the practice squad, I think, and I think that sorts itself out now, doesn't it?
Yeah,
more or less.
Yeah. Well, did we ever doubt Keenan? Ever?
No.
The mad genius is at work. We just have to sit back and admire.
Yep.
So that's about all there is to that. It scares me. As a fan, I'm really enthused But as one who has a team, it scares me because you know what? Any team in this league can win. And any league that you think could win, any team, could wind up last. There's that much parity going on, and it's just who gels best with who and when. And if they can get a good jump, because I got a feeling if you trip out of the gate, you'll be treading water all year to try and get further up. So,
And you know what? Just to be frank too, with that Rush roster, even if they go through their struggles, this is going to be a young, athletic team. They're just going to be fun to watch.
yeah, I think so. It's going to be entertaining.
Yeah,
Which is something that really hasn't been that prevalent in the last couple of years. Not since the close to championship and championship years.
Yeah.
And because could look out because the other teams are getting that way too. Like I said, I had Brian Cole on the other day, and Georgia's looking scary good also. So, we talked about a couple of the teams, but really we could put that tag on just about any team that we put our name on. Toronto, Rochester, doesn't really make a difference which. Albany's making its way up, and when you have Dyson Williams in there, right away it's going to make that impact like Jeff Teat did with New York.
Yeah.
So moving further along, the Wings made a trade. I know that Pat is absolutely thrilled about this. As Liam Burns is now with the Georgia Swarm, and back comes a 2024 conditional second round pick, which was originally Colorado's. So yeah, I know Pat had a lot of really, really blessed things to say about Coach Bay and everything. He wishes Liam all the best in his new home in Georgia.
New old home.
New old home, yes. Everything old is new again, and everything new is old again. So it's just kind of interesting the way everything just kind of works its way in a circle. And we were talking about Leo Sturris a little earlier because he was one of Curtis's coaches, but he was also traded to Albany for Curtis, with that Riptide thing, and he has re-signed with the Albany Firewolves for a year. David Brock, he has re-signed with Halifax because he's, as he puts it, he is wants to win a championship. Period. No brainer. Do the other teams know? Shane Simpson, he's back with the Roughnecks. Another integral piece to that puzzle. And the last one I have here is Will Malcolm. This is a big one.
Yep.
This is a big one because he's an integral part of that Panther City club. And as Bob Hamley put it, Will is a proven elite offensive player in our league. We cannot wait to see what's next for him and our entire group as we embark on this new season. Yeah, absolutely. I think that team is another one that's up and coming. And with Kostiuk as a coach, I think that the sky's the limit. Everybody who plays for Tracy talks glowingly about his style and his way. And you take a look at this team over the couple of years that they've been in, and the leaps and bounds has come. And these guys aren't afraid to go and move pieces and change pieces. And things that worked yesterday aren't working today, and see you later when we try something else. So I got to admire that because there's a lot of these guys, a lot of GMs that'll just, nope, that was my choice, and I'm going to stick with it and go down with their ship. So, them, Rich Lisk in New York, guys who will change it all up. How many facelifts has this been for the Riptide now? 4?
Yeah.
Yeah, 4 reincarnations.
Yeah, but I would almost look at them. There aren't any divisions anymore, but if it was still East and West, I would look at them for the East the same way we're looking at Vancouver for the West. They brought in a lot of veteran leadership, and almost everyone of those guys they brought in has experience winning a championship.
Right.
So
yeah.
It's funny though because we just we're kind of poking fun at David Brock, but you take a look at Halifax, and again we don't pay much attention, but excuse me, Randy Stotts, Clark Peterson, Austin Shanks, Cody Jamieson, Ryan Benesh, Eric Fennell, and that's just the first 6 that come into my mind.
Yeah.
I can go right down a list here. It's ridiculous how much talent they have. Dawson Thede, Zach Kerrigan, Jake McNabb, Aaron Woods. It goes
They have
on
a ton
and
of
on and on.
they have a ton of depth. That's the thing about them, which is awesome. Like,
And goaltending.
yeah,
That's the other caveat to it. We talked about it with Calgary, where Del Bianco has saved them when things weren't the best. And, Bold's job is going to be training 2 of the first-round picks. Well, you got Warren Hill. You got Craig Wendy there, but you also have Ethan Woods is part of that team. So there's a number of pieces there that are also things that we haven't really touched upon. We talk about Toronto, and again, you look at even with adding Chris Boucher and Mark Matthews to an already big team with Tom Schreiber, Corey Small, Challen Rogers if he's coming out the front door or if he's going out transitionally, doesn't really matter. Dan Craig, Josh Dalwick can be added into that conversation now after the summer he had and his inaugural year last year. Marley Angus is going to get a full chance to play this year. And he had a great year in summer, and he had a great year in the Arena Lacrosse League. So he's already got his stripes. Cam Milligan, let's not forget about him being added to this team. Zach Kearney in the draft pick, and he had a great summer also. So we're going to see that. Lindner's back. And, you just take a look at that. And let's not also forget about Brandon Slade, who can play defense, who can play transition, or can play offense, and is quick. Part of that Gazelle squad. Now, a few of those guys are gone. Saskatchewan's reaped the benefits of that. But I don't think that they're wanting for anything, really. And the back end is just as bruising as it was. Right? Now, my question is, at this stage of Nick Rose's career, and with a goalie as good as Troy Holochuk as the backup, and he had some great games last year coming in for Nick, do we see him get a little bit more playing time? Is it that time?
I would hope so.
Me too.
Just the age factor. I mean, I think it's been kind of
a style factor too. You're talking about a 6'6" goalie or a 6'4" goalie who's really agile and can do a lot of things. And even if you're pulling them, it only takes about 4 steps to get to the bench.
I guess I was looking at it as seeing comments from some of the fan base like why does Nick Rose have to play every single minute of every single game in net? If you're up 18-8, halfway through the fourth quarter, why are you not giving the backup some, and
give them some meaningful minutes,
and I hate to bring up that, because when you reference it, for basketball, people go nuts, but the whole load management thing,
Yeah.
I mean,
I agree. I think,
because anyone could take that argument and turn it around, and maybe that this isn't probably the reason that they got swept the way they did.
There were a lot of
Eastern
factors.
Conference Finals, but someone could easily turn around that argument and say, well, if you hadn't played Nick Rose every single minute of 18, regular season games, maybe this wouldn't have happened in the Eastern Conference Finals. To Buffalo. I'm not saying that's what happened, but
no, it's funny you mentioned that
argument.
Everything had to go wrong in that weekend, and it did. Everything.
And you finally mentioned that load management thing, Mike, because I've heard the same thing, and people saying, "Well, it's never been done in the NL." Well, why not start now? So what if it hasn't been done before? Give it a try. Maybe that is a difference maker.
Well, just take a look at just take a look at the Mann Cup. If you want proof, does it work? Jameson and Hill back and forth in net, platooning. Neither of those guys got tired, and they played a lot.
Yeah,
and I mean, obviously, not very kind.
The counterpoint to that, argument that I made about Rose would be, I think Del Bianco played more minutes than Rose in the regular season last year, but
there's an age difference.
There's age difference, yeah.
That's the big thing. Is
So,
the age difference. I think that's what we're talking about. And like I say, it's a shame that it was so lopsided in that series because, well, I don't think it was all Nick Rose's fault, but I don't think
no,
he
not at
helped
all.
by
No.
stealing anything away. But everything had to go wrong, and we brought it up many times. Is that the Toronto defense should have bought tickets on a number of those goals because they sat there and watched as guys were jumping past them. So, and they left Rose out to hang out to dry, and Holochuk later in those games. But it happened the way it happened, and hopefully it's a learning experience for those guys. Another team that comes to mind is something that we thought would have been depleted with their trades was Rochester. Excuse me. And you take a look, and you have their first round pick from last year, Thomas McConvey. He's the one that jumps out the most to me. Is he's signed and he's ready to go. Now you throw him with Turner Evans and Connor Fields. You got Ryan Smith and Austin Hazen. You got Curtis Knight still. Stephen Keogh is now returned for his third visit with Rochester, and he's still got grit and can still do it from in close. I think that you add Dan Lomas, Hunter Lemuer over there now, Kyle Waters, Nick Millers, and Eistrad, who's had a great summer, as well as a great ALL season the year before, and he's ready. Let's not forget Parker Pfeiffer while we're going on with that ALL in summer, and Brooklyn, I believe. And Rochester is ready. Plus, you also have goaltending in both Riley Hutchcraft and Raylan Hartley, right? So there's all the pieces in place there. One of the things that stood out last year, of course, was injuries, and their transition game went the way of the dodo. And once teams caught up to what they were doing and defended to the typical play that they were using, which included Hogarth in front of the net.
No, strike three.
Yeah.
They're going to take away second base from him.
I think I need to pay for third base or something like that. I don't know. Like, this is just a weird evening here, and wait till the bad weather comes to Toronto.
Oh, jeez.
I'll have to phone it in. And on the phone we have Gary. I'll just keep the line open. It'd be like some of our shows in the other one.
No, but I know you mentioned injuries, and obviously you can't not mention, the fact that they didn't have Corey Highfield all year, pretty much last year.
Yeah.
They didn't have Dan Coates for a decent chunk of the year. They didn't have Thomas Whitty for a decent chunk of the year. So
Tyler Hall was getting acclimated and didn't really get all the playing time he could have.
Sure.
Yeah.
But so a lot of those guys, hopefully, you're going to get a full season out of. Plus guys like Mitch Ogilvie. Obviously,
solid bruisers. Don't forget about your Tyler Biles and guys who are there and going to make sure that guys are honest. Just before we move on, I just want to remind everybody that this part of our show has been brought to you by Philly Sports Trips.
All right, guys, if you're a Philly sports fan and you want to travel with your favorite team, then travel with the best. Go to phillysportstrips.com. They have self-travel packages and full travel packages available with round-trip flights from the Philadelphia airport. Packages include direct flights, 4-night stays, all-inclusive tailgate parties, lower-level group tickets. Whatever you want, you got it with phillysportstrips.com. If you want to travel to an upcoming Phillies game, make sure you check out Philly Sports Trips. And do not forget, Philly Sports Trips has all the away trips for the Eagles' upcoming 2023 season. Jump on it now, because you do not want to lose out on all these great opportunities. Go to phillysportstrips.com.
Just before we go further, I do want to remind everybody that our show next week will be at noon Eastern time. The Philadelphia Eagles will play at the time that we are regularly slotted. Darn them. We should have called first. But needless to say, we will be on at noon next week for the 1 week. And then we'll be back to our 9 o'clock slot for a little while. And then, of course, a Grey Cup hits. Last year we had them on in the corners of our screens. This year maybe I'll be out for it. It's only down the street,
As long as you
Definitely
get better
working.
reception there.
Well, pretty soon I'm going to be wearing my Fox viewing helmet, and I'll have a hanger in one hand and a tinfoil hat on the other, and hopefully I'll be able to get better reception. But getting back to our point here, we were talking Rochester as one of the teams there. We also can't neglect Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And all the moves that they made there. You've got, Mitch Jones goes without saying. Blaze Reardon goes without saying. Matt Rambo. There's a name that we haven't really mentioned. But you also have the Catoni brothers. You have Taggart Clark, Ben McIntosh, Joe Resatera, Sam Leclerc, all bona fide stars in the league.
Yep. Just the biggest question mark there is going to be losing Baptiste, and who's going to take over kind of that face-off spot, right?
Let's not forget Anthony Cressell.
That's true. I mean, unfortunately, it's no Baptiste. No disrespect to him, right?
There's not a lot of him around, really.
Yeah. It's going to be big shoes to fill, I guess what I'm trying to say.
Oh, yeah. And then, of course, you have the goaltending duo of, at the moment, you have Zach Higgins and Angus Goodleaf, but I have a feeling that Angus won't be back, and I think Deacon Knott will be slotted in as the backup goalie. And, of course, throw another Minto Cup championship as part of his lineage. And, Deacon's the guy, and he's the future. So the sooner he starts getting some playing time and facing these shots from these guys will be the better for Philadelphia in the long run, I think.
Yeah, I think it's vital. Yeah, I think it's vital. I mean, we saw not last year, but the year before with Steven Orleman. I mean, setting a rookie record for saves.
Mm-hmm.
It's important just to get them in there. We've seen also, progression with guys like Del Bianco, with guys like Chris Origlieri, other guys, the other names escaping me. But Hartley. Rochester.
Hartley, yeah.
So that's another one. So.
Mm-hmm.
And don't discount Zach Higgins as a starter. I mean, look what he did in the summer. He maybe had his ups and downs last year in the NL, but look what he did this summer in taking New West to a Mann Cup final, I should say. But
Absolutely. Again, we also can't neglect San Diego. They had a weird ending to their season, being upset, but I also think that had to do with they had an awful lot of travel, guys. That's one of my points with this divisional thing. Now everybody has to go through it, so everybody has that same disadvantage or advantage, depending how you want to look at it. And not being a young team, yes, they know how to do it, but when you're not a young team, it affects you more later on in the season, come playoff time. And you got Dixon, you got Doby, you got Austin Stotts, Wes Berg, Mac O'Keefe, Xander Dixon is on there. Jacob Dunbar, Adam Notes, Kyle Jackson's there now. Jake Govett, let's not forget about him. And he's now in year 2. So expect more things from him. And, again, Riglieri is the man, right? But Poulin's there also as a player, but more as a mentor, I think.
That mentorship's going to be invaluable. So.
Because that's, I think, what's going to be San Diego's biggest question mark is, again, we saw O'Reilly go through his bumps. And, again, with all due respect to, sorry, escaped me right now. Mike Poulin, sorry. He's been out for, a year now? 2 years?
Yeah, couple of years.
Couple of years now. He hasn't been playing. So
no, he's just been coaching in Georgia, right? And,
so I mean, he's gonna have to kick off some rest if he's going to be playing.
Absolutely. And, under the radar comes a team that won the cup a couple of years ago and just lost last year, Colorado. And they still have their core. And they've got a few things added on there as well.
Yeah, very much so.
Having Dylan Ward in net, right? Which is, again, right down the road of what we're talking about, of having that bona fide all-star in net to shore up everything. But when you're talking about everybody going to be healthy, Ryan Lee, Eli McLaughlin, Connor Robinson, Zed Williams, well, that's a pretty tough top 4.
That's the key word, healthy, with them.
Well, yeah.
They
Oh, yeah.
usually get hit with the injury bug, and that's when things
Throw in
can.
Chris Wardle, Tyson Gibson, George Downey's in there now as well. Ben McDonald.
Connor Kelly.
Also one that a good friend of mine, Bryce Tolmey's in there, and granted he's defense, but he's more transition. And if Capito is Capito's still there, right?
Yep.
If he's healthy, then you've got two guys that can fly.
Yep, and then you've got they have Paul Dawson now.
Yep.
So they'll probably get a full season out of Brett Craig, who's another just huge body.
Right.
So,
and of course, we haven't even talked about the champions, who lost like nobody.
A couple of guys.
Yeah. Ethan O'Connor went to Rochester, and put it. The rest of them, they've added in the goaltending thing. They've got about 14 goaltenders all ready to play tomorrow. Matt Vince is there for a few more years.
Benefits, yeah.
Yeah, but then you have that the thing with Shanahan, and you also have Orleman, and both are bona fide, goalies in the NLL. Take a look, and you still have that core together, right? But with Josh Byrne, Dane Smith, healthy, Chris Kluche, Nanakoke, Kyle Buchanan, Brad McCulley, Brandon Robinson. It goes on, and they're going to be chomping at the bit to repeat.
Yep.
And with JT behind the bench, that's a possibility. Because remember this little saying, winners win. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, I put them in kind of the same category as San Diego. We talked about this in past years too, where they're both, you're seeing Buffalo as well as San Diego that have that kind of aging roster still, where it's kind of now or never, right?
Mm-hmm. You go to Georgia, and you want to talk about the parity. The best at 0-17 I've ever seen, bar none. And I sat through an 0-8 team in Toronto a couple of years back. This is the best 0-17 I'd ever seen, and you have all the Thompsons, right?
Yeah, I believe all four are on the roster right now.
Isn't that something, eh?
Yeah,
that's the first time ever for that. So, but on top of all the Thompsons, you have Ryan Lansbury, who's in his second year. And the end of the year, he was doing what he was supposed to be doing. He had a rough start to the beginning of it, but once he got settled and relaxed and was able to go, he had a terrific summer. My God, with Oakville, he had a terrific summer. So him and Andrew Q, like clockwork. And lo and behold, who else is there? Andrew Q. Imagine that. Shane Jackson.
Yeah.
We talked about the Thompson brothers. Dante McCumber. He's going to get a chance at it. Brady Kiernan, Luke Keenan, they're going to get shots.
Yep.
And
Zach Miller,
back end is tough.
Seth Oaks too.
Yeah. So. Let's not forget a guy like Brian Cole, who does an awful lot offensively. So it's going to be a bruising team, but also, you have Dobson and net, and does he need to do any more proving? He's going to ready to ship in Georgia, and then wins a championship with the Archers in the summer.
I can solidify his spot.
I'm pretty sure he has.
Yeah.
That's a no-brainer, and they were so sure about that they got rid of Wendy.
Yeah.
Thank you. Your services are no longer needed. See ya. Thanks. So, another one, right?
And now you're adding Liam Burns to that defense too.
That's right.
So.
Yeah.
That's right. How about Las Vegas? They did a lot of drafting.
Yeah.
Sean Williams took a lot of pictures. But, I think that this team is on its way. I think it's a hell of a lot better than it was last year. And last year they surprised me. So you look at the names on that list, and of course you got Hellier, you got Rouet, you got Reed Reinhold, Charlie Bertrand, Marshall King, Zach Greer, Jack Hanna, John Phillips is all bona fide stars, guys.
Yep.
Now if they can gel, Casey Jackson, there's a big name to add to that list as well. Thomas Vazen, Henry Follows. Big names to add to the list. Henry had a great season with Brampton in the summer. On a team that wasn't great.
Yeah. Like I felt last year's Vegas team, like they had a 5-13 record, but I felt that probably wasn't indicative of how they work, because they were kind of like most expansion teams. They kind of struggled at the beginning, but once they kind of came together and starting gel, you really kind of started to see what Sean Williams was building towards,
Yep.
and it's continuing to build into this year.
Yep. That 5 wins is
Yeah,
more in
that
the
five.
second
I
half
was
of the
going to say
season.
that 5-13 could easily have been 8-10.
Oh, yeah.
9 even. So
Yeah. Yeah, because the only team that was more snake bit than them was New York, because a couple of bounces one way or the other, a missed call the other way, and a few other things. And that Owen record to start could have easily been 3-3, 4-2 even, and then the whole change wouldn't have happened, and we would have had a whole different idea in there. We might have still had Veltman in the GM position.
true.
So, but as the next couple of weeks go on, we're going to delve a little bit more into what we're expecting coming into and out of training camp. And then, lo and behold, we are going to have some preseason games to talk about. Toronto released a list of 3 weeks of games starting around Remembrance Day. And then we're into the season. It's not that far away, guys. So
Yeah.
It's not. Yeah, and like I said, all these training camps are going to be ultra competitive.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yep. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some releases that just kind of open eyes.
absolutely.
and I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see those releases until week 2 or 3 of training camp.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We start to see things.
Yeah, and the last week will be
you got 40
really,
guys
really,
coming. You're going to give them as much time as you possibly can, I think.
and you're also
Yep.
going to give other teams as little time as possible to scoop them up.
Yep.
True.
You know, you got to play defense as well as offense. Just before we move to the final bit here, a reminder that this part of the show is brought to you by David R. Cherry and Associates.
All right, guys, let's talk about Cherry Law Firm. If you get hurt at work in a motor vehicle accident, personal injury, or affected by criminal law, you got to call David R. Cherry of the Cherry Firm. Call 610-565-0300 or go to cherryinjurylaw.com. Let David R. Cherry fight for your rights. Again, that number is 610-565-0300. That's 610-565-0300 or go to cherryinjurylaw.com. Let David R. Cherry fight for your right.
Let him fight. But anyways, just to wrap us up here, I just want to remind everybody that you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, and YouTube. And you can also find us at www.eopsports.com/lacrosse for everything known in the lacrosse world, and some others too, unfortunately. But you come back 3, 4, 5 times a day. The news is always changing, and with training camps just about to open up, and with the NLL just around the corner, stick with us. We will be your guide to everything lacrosse going on. We will have our finger on the pulse of the situation at all times. Also, there will be more retro games coming up in the next week or two. A few more have gone in to be transferred, and there can be some really interesting ones there, I'm sure. We're hopefully going to have Colton Watkinson on next week. We just have to finalize a few things on that with him, including the time change of our show. If not, it'll be in a couple of weeks' time, but he will be coming on as well, which is great. So stick around with us. Everything is always on the brink here, and I'm lucky as all can be to have these guys with me, as well as with Pat Bernard and Eduardo Couros, who are our field reporters, taking care of business. It's a hell of a team, and we're going to bring everything to you right on through the NLL and the PLL tournament in the winter, as well as I'm going to be off to Prague again to take care of the Reski tournament in April, and a few other things along the way. So stick with us. We are going to be around. Any last words, Mike?
Just getting excited for training camps.
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely. We're going to have a real doozer of a thing going on. And like I say, and you've said it before, with 40 guys to each lineup, It's going to be dog eat dog in all of them. Shawn, last words?
No, same thing. And I know I talked about it ad nauseum, but this preseason game coming up in Moose Jaw, I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a packed barn. It's going to be so much fun.
Yeah, it's going to be like the season before the season with that.
Yeah.
You know, if you've ever had a chance to get out to Saskatoon, if you've never been there, you want to go out there for a game, and I'm sure Moose Jaw is going to be exactly the same with that kind of energy. I know my ears were ringing for days afterwards.
That's why, I people say, "Oh, you must be excited." I'm excited because I can't wait for people who haven't been able to go to Saskatoon. It's a bit of a trek from Moose Jaw to Saskatoon,
right?
To go and just see what I see. You know what I mean? This exciting sport.
Absolutely. I also want to thank Curtis Conley for coming on the show today. Who's great, and we wish him all the best in everything lacrosse and outside of lacrosse as well. But with his training camp with New York and with the Riptide in general, hopefully they have a great season this year. They deserve it. They really are a great team and a great bunch of guys. Alrighty. For Muffler Mike over in Connecticut and Shawn Slaght over in Moose Jaw. Sorry, I'm about to say Saskatoon. Saskatoon on the brain. I'm sorry. I'm Gary Groob in Toronto. And once again, we want to thank you for your weekly patronage with us and following us through everything, including my internet troubles. Sorry. Ricky Rogers, we love you. They own everything. Until next week, remember again, it is noon Eastern next Sunday, and we will catch you then. Until then, be safe and keep your stick in your hands. See you next week.